For this week's Insights interview, I'm delighted to be joined by Edinburgh Scotland rugby player Nick Haining to discuss the impact and experiences that lockdown has had on a professional sports person. Hi there, Nick. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm doing great. I guess many of the people listening to this, Nick, will have experienced being on furlough at some point over the last 4 months or so. When did you first get word that this was going to be happening for you? And I guess what have been your general experiences of it?
Yeah, so we were first notified that we were going to be on furlough. I think it was around 3 weeks into lockdown. So we'd had 3 weeks in lockdown, and then HR had got in touch with us saying that we were going to be furloughed for the foreseeable future sort of thing.
Yeah.
My experiences of it was a bit of a, with everybody, it was a bit of a challenging time at times. It was all sort of new to me. It was something that I had to adapt to, especially being used to being in a sporting environment, being there every day, being active. That all changed very quickly. I think the first 2 weeks were great. It was great for the body to recover because we'd had a bit of a testing time over the whole season. It had been a pretty full-on schedule. So talking to a few of the other people at training as well, they said it was a welcome rest for those 2 weeks. But pretty much after that 2 weeks, you started to get a bit tense, a bit things were a bit different. Having to work home workouts, everything like that was quite testing and quite challenging because I was living at a top floor flat at the time. And we'd only had like a set of dumbbells that the club had given us. So you're sort of trying to get quite inventive with your workouts just to keep them fresh. And, just doing the same thing every day can get a bit challenging. So same with the running sessions as well, going out, things like that were some of the things that were really challenging for myself.
We spoke quite a lot at Change at team level, I guess right at the start of this, about trying, for those that had free time, to try and use it as productively as they could, I guess, to either get fit, focus on health and well-being, or in some way develop their skill sets, whether that be relevant to the job that they were doing as recruiters or not, just general interests.
Yeah.
I mean, did the club give you any guidelines at the start of this from a personal development point of view, or was it predominantly focused around just keep your levels of fitness up?
Yeah, I think the club are actually quite good with that. We have a bit of a player representative who organises a lot of this sort of stuff. So personal development, if you want to go take a course or anything like that. So I was actually lucky enough to have signed up for a course just previously to lockdown being implemented, which was with Curriculo Solutions, which is run by David Morrison and Karen Glenn. So the course pretty much entails sort of developing your skill set for the transition after professional sports.
Okay, yeah.
So it was something that it was an 8-week course, which you sort of could do at your own pace and the like. It had a few assignments and things like that, but pretty much just developing your skill set, making you aware of sort of what sort of avenues you want to take into the business world. And I think it was something that was really positive and really beneficial for myself because I didn't really have a good idea of what I wanted to do after rugby. I had a vague idea, but I just sort of done a bit of study here and there. But this sort of put me on a career path, and I was looking at getting into recruitment and, was able to get in touch with a lot of people, actually develop my network a lot more, things like that, which I think has been proved invaluable as a skill now for taking after rugby, more or less.
And I guess would have been great for the sanity, just having something other than fitness or to focus on.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you can go a bit stir crazy, especially with, the situation of being locked in the house. Initially it was for, 20 hours a day sort of thing. So you're just locked in the house, you're doing your weights in your bedroom, or I was. So, you get outside for your run for half an hour a day, what was prescribed by the government. So having that there just to focus on something and put my efforts into, and it was really interesting as well. So, it really helped me get through the lockdown period.
I mean, how quickly do you notice at professional level, how quickly do you notice your fitness levels dropping?
Oh, very quickly. I mean, you could go, honestly, for myself anyway, I mean, a week without doing anything. I mean, a week was good just to get the body intact, but anything after that, you really start to notice. And I think the main thing as well is because the training's so much different being at home compared to being in the environment, the rugby environment. You've got all your weights set up, you've got your heavy weights, you've got, your conditioning machines, so your off-feet conditioning machines, watt bikes, rowers, things like that, that you sort of take for granted a bit when you're in the setup because it's all there readily available for you.
Yeah.
So when you don't have these equipments, you've got to get a bit inventive with it. So, going out for 5K jogs, which I never would have done before, that was something that sort of spiced up the training regime a bit, and something that, I could sort of challenge myself with in conjunction with my other training as well.
Yeah. Recording this in your second block of training, ahead of some huge fixtures for the club. I mean, what happens now in a professional sports team to get you all back up to speed physically and mentally? And I guess, how do you try and minimise that risk of injury after such a lengthy layoff?
Yeah, Mark. So it is actually quite a gradual process. You probably think, you're straight back into it and you're belting each other, you're going for full, fitness sessions and the like. But it's actually quite a bit different to that. We obviously had our first block of training, which was a 4-week block, previously to this second week block that we're in now. And that was sort of just a gradual getting back into fitness, getting the leg speed going, doing quite a bit of mobility stuff, just some interim weights sort of thing. So it's all very gradual. We sort of build that up over the 4-week period leading into this second block. That then puts us in a good stead to be ready physically, mentally. We'll go more into the rugby specific sort of stuff in the second block. So it's all game plan. The fitness is all there. We've done our weights and stuff. So it's pretty much just getting the game plan down packed and getting everyone in sync, such as, we've got a couple of new guys as well. So it's getting them up to speed as well. So it's, as I said before, it's a gradual sort of process. And at the moment, we're in our first week now of it, and it'll be another 3 weeks up until we play Glasgow. Okay.
We've heard a lot, I guess, over the lockdown period about the need for personal resilience during this crisis. And again, when I was researching ahead of our chat, that's something that you've had to show pretty much throughout your whole rugby career. I think it's fair to say you've done things the hard way. For those that don't know, can you maybe talk us through some of the challenges and disappointments that you've had to overcome to, become an international rugby player? And following on from that, what tips and techniques or what experiences have you learned and developed to keep yourself positive and moving forward in your career?
Yeah, Mike. So I guess I've sort of done the road less travelled to get to where I am today. So pretty much I started off in Perth, my hometown in Western Australia, and made my first academy back in 2000 and would have been about 2010, 2009. I think I was 18 years old at the time, and initially was working full time, juggling rugby as well, the academy, and studying as well. So that was sort of one of the first challenges that I faced, was sort of making a decision on what I was going to do long term, just because obviously I was in the academy for 3 years. Things didn't really go according to plan. I didn't really make that next step up. Ended up getting kicked out of the academy. I think it was in my 3rd year. And that was when I had a big decision to make, because I was still doing my uni at the time. I was working, and I guess the only sort of avenue for me to sort of progress my rugby was to go overseas and sort of chase the dream there. And I guess that was the biggest challenge for me at the time, was just weighing up whether or not, do I study? Do I leave my family? Is rugby going to work out? Seeing as I'd just been kicked out of the academy as well, like, it was a big sort of decision for me to make. But ultimately made the decision to go over to Jersey, which was my first professional contract, which I was lucky enough to get. So went over to Jersey and played there for 3 years. Things went really well. I wasn't, at this point, I wasn't really sort of, I had aspirations to go on to the next level, but it was sort of a very gradual process again for me. It was sort of just step by step, see where things took me. And I was lucky enough to get my next professional contract at Bristol, who were going to make it to the next level in the Premiership after that. Once again, that was, I guess, some challenges that I sort of faced going there, was that I was a sort of a little fish in a big pond. So sort of like other people had to make a name for myself there. Wasn't playing initially. There was a few guys ahead of me, got a few starts, played okay, got the nod from the coach. And then towards the end of the second season was actually playing quite a lot, which was great. And that sort of opened up the avenue to come to Edinburgh. once at Edinburgh, it was the same sort of thing. You know, I knew that they had a really good back row, people in my positions. It was always going to be a challenge getting that spot. But I think progressing on from Bristol, I sort of realised that things were sort of progressing really well for myself, and that I sort of believed, oh, well, you know what, maybe if I go to Scotland, maybe things will happen in the international circuit if I can just keep putting my head down, keep working hard, and I'll get to that next level at the international, which was always seemed so out of sight when I was back in Perth, you know, kicked out of the academy, just working full time. So, you know, I guess the biggest challenge I sort of faced in my time was just making those decisions and actually going for it, which I'm really glad I have done.
Do you suffer from self-doubt, or are you generally, do you work on that kind of positive mindset?
I do work on it. Something that I've actually worked on quite a lot. I mean, I don't know if I'd have it any more than the next person, but I think, you know, self-doubt's a massive one, you know, because I've always seen myself as, you know, I knew I was a good rugby player and the like, but not being, you know, the star at 18 years old, and, you know, which, you know, not everyone is, I understand that, but I didn't really see myself being a professional rugby player long term. It's something I always aspired to be, but as I said before, initially in my positions back in Perth where I wasn't really making it, things weren't really going according to plan. It's quite hard to see that vision when things aren't, you know, going the way you want them to go. So I think, having that self-doubt is always something that's been in the back of my mind, but something that's gotten better and better as the years have gone on and I've progressed in my career.
And how do you kind of deal with that? How do you keep yourself positive and keep yourself positive to, I guess, realise your dream?
Yeah, I think something that I've really focused on throughout my career is just enjoying the little wins. And when I say about the little wins, I just say about minor things that might have happened in a day or a week or a month that, you know, I've progressed in. You know, I think it's been a massive journey from where I was when I first got to Jersey in my first professional career to where I am now. And all along the way, every step of the way, I've had little wins, which have, you know, maybe been we've won a game or I've done something well. I've put a big number up in the gym, or my fitness score has been a little bit better than it was last time. And all these little things, you know, culminate and they add up over time. And then before you know it, you've made it, you know, this far than where you were, I don't know, 6 months down the track, which is, you know, a massive difference. But, you know, short term, it might be only little steps, but it makes a big difference in my mindset.
I think that's useful advice, particularly in our industry at the moment, where there are definite signs of improvement. There are signs that the market is picking back up, but it's still a very challenging arena. And I guess keeping those small wins, keeping you motivated, you know, it might be getting hold of that contact or having that really positive conversation or sharing that bit of information. And that helps you get to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. So, you know, I think there's a lot that many of us could kind of take from your own experiences in that.
Oh, it definitely might. I think it's, you know, it can be translatable in any sort of workplace, any, I don't know, social situation, whatever it is. I mean, that's not something I just use for rugby. I mean, something that I sort of apply throughout my life, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I guess finally, Nick, I mean, what if anything will you take from your experiences over the last 4 months? And I guess moving forward, what are some of your kind of personal and professional ambitions over the next few years?
Yeah, I think the main takeaways from being in the lockdown and everything was just the importance of being connected to people outside, people you might not have met before, people, your loved ones, things like that. I think that's been a massive difference for me, is just being able to stay connected and actually being a bit better at staying connected, because I think you can really easily fall into the trap of not keeping in contact, not networking, things that I wasn't doing previously, that having the time in lockdown and having a bit of self-reflection, I was able to, you know, really hone in on some of my skill sets and really sort of put those into practice, even though that, you know, we're in a challenging situation, being locked away, not being able to see people face to face and the like. I think that for me was definitely one of the big takeaways from lockdown.
And I guess some of your ambitions over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to cement my spot in the Scotland squad a bit more. Obviously, get the take the silverware home for Edinburgh as well. So that's very close. So that'll be the main focus at the moment. But then Pretty much after that, just as I said, just expand my network, just try and work on some more, personal goals that I have and the like, and just trying to stay positive, enjoy life, even though it's a bit challenging at the moment.
And for those that might follow the round ball rather than the egg-shaped ball, can you maybe, doing my research, obviously highlighted what a great season it's been so far for Edinburgh. Can you maybe talk to those people that maybe haven't been following it around some of the massive games that you guys have got coming up?
Yeah, so we so about 3 weeks from now, I think, August 22nd, we play Glasgow, and then the following weekend we play them again. So that's 2 of the league games, which then follow into the semi-final, and then ultimately, if we win that, the final as well. So only 4 games to go in that competition, and then after that we play in the European competition as well. So we'll be playing Bordeaux at home, and then after that is the final. So some massive games coming up for us, and potentially ones that we could win and take home the silverware.
Well, look, the very best of luck to you and the squad, Nick, and thanks again for your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.